I have to admit, looking at the sheer volume of documents we have on the table today, I'm feeling a little anxious. Usually when I think of travel, I think about the destination, the beach, the mountains, the hotel. But this stack...
Yeah, it's intimidating.
It really is.
No.
Because this is all about the hurdle you have to jump just to get there.
It is a massive hurdle. I mean, we're looking at architectural blueprints. We've got leaked flight attendant forum discussions, airline financial reports, and even some really dense white papers on consumer psychology.
Right. And the picture that emerges from all this isn't just that airports are crowded or expensive. It's that they are designed specifically and intentionally designed to extract money from you. One of the articles we're diving into actually refers to the modern airport not as a transportation hub, but as a casino.
Which is honestly a perfect analogy.
Yeah.
Think about a casino, right?
Yeah.
No clocks, confusing layouts, bright lights, and just constant sensory input designed to separate you from your cash. The modern airport operates on almost the exact same psychological principles. The house is designed to win.
And the stakes are very real here. There's this quote from one of the industry insiders in the research that stuck with me. They said, "From the moment your wheels hit the curb, the money meter starts running." If you don't know the rules of this game, you are just a target. You're basically a walking wallet subject to hidden fees, subtle manipulation, and in some cases, actual theft.
And that is exactly the mission for this deep dive. We aren't just here to complain about long lines. We want to decode the hidden rules. We're going to look at everything from the floor you walk on to the secret codes the crew uses, and hopefully turn you from a passive passenger into a player who knows how to beat the system.
So let's start where the passenger starts. The moment you walk inside, I was reading through the section on invisible design and I got stuck on this term, cognitive friction.
Ah, yes, cognitive friction.
It sounds like a migraine, but it's actually about the flooring.
It is. This is one of those things you never notice until someone points it out, and then you see it absolutely everywhere.
Yeah.
Picture this. You're rushing to your gate. You're in the main concourse. What's the floor made of?
Usually it's hardtile or terrazzo. It's loud. You can hear the wheels of your carry-on going click, click, click.
Right. That hard surface is efficient. It encourages movement. But notice what happens when you drift off that main highway and into the retail zones or those holding areas near the luxury shops. The floor changes.
It turns to carpet.
Exactly. And that shift is totally calculated. It's called creating cognitive friction. When you hit the carpet, the resistance on your wheels increases. Your walking pace naturally slows down. The ambient noise dampens. Your brain subconsciously switches from travel mode, which is high stress, high speed, to lounge mode.
So by physically slowing me down, they're mentally signaling me to relax.
Yeah, and when you are relaxed and walking, say 20% slower, you are statistically much more likely to look at a window display, smell the perfume, or notice the Cinnabon. The carpet is essentially a speed bump for your wallet.
That feels incredibly manipulative. I mean, it's not just making the airport nice, it's actively altering my behavior.
It is entirely behavioral engineering, and it leads directly into what airport architects actually call the golden walk.
The golden walk, it sounds mythical.
It's very real, and you've definitely walked it. In a lot of modern international terminals, after you clear security,
which is super stressful.
Right, high stress, high adrenaline environment. After that, you are immediately funneled into a winding snake-like path through the duty-free shop.
Oh, I know exactly what you mean. You physically cannot get to your gate without dodging a massive tower of Toblerones or walking through a literal cloud of Chanel perfume.
That is the golden walk.
Yeah.
The layout forces you to engage with the merchandise. You've just survived the stress of the body scanner, your adrenaline is dropping, and suddenly you're surrounded by rewards. Alcohol, chocolate, luxury goods.
Yeah.
It leverages that I survive security, I deserve a treat dopamine hit.
It's creating a retail gauntlet. And the research suggests they even mess with the seating to keep you shopping right.
Yes. This is known as revenue seating. If you look at the gate areas, the comfortable seats, the ones with thick padding and charging ports, are often positioned to face the shops or cafes. They create a direct visual line of sight to spending. Meanwhile, the free essentials, like water fountains or restrooms,
They're always impossible to find.
exactly, they're often tucked away behind the retail signage or down a random corridor.
They hide the free stuff to keep you focused on the paid stuff. That explained why I can never find a water fountain without going on a hike.
And in Europe, they take this a step further with the gate announcement trick.
Yeah.
You've seen the big departure board that says gate announced at 10 o'clock, even though it's only 9:30.
I hate that. You're just standing there staring at the screen, stressed out, wondering where you're supposed to go.
Well, the stress is the point. Or rather, the location of the stress. If they told you the gate number an hour early, you would just go to gate 42, sit in an empty chair and read a book. You wouldn't spend a dime.
Right.
By withholding the gate number, they keep thousands of people trapped in the central shopping hub, the marketplace, where all the high-end shops are.
So we are basically cattle being held in the pen until they've squeezed every last dollar out of us.
Effectively, yes.
Okay, let's rewind a bit. Before we even get to the carpet or the duty-free wool, we have to get to the airport in the first place. And looking at these documents, the casino effect actually starts at the curb. I was honestly shocked by the rideshare fees.
Oh yeah, this is a classic drip pricing tactic. You open your Uber or Lyft app, you see the price, and you book it. You assume that price is just for the distance and the driver's time. But almost every major airport now tacks on a specific surcharge for curbside pickups.
And we're not talking pennies here either.
No, we are looking at data showing Boston Logan charging an extra $3.25. Atlanta's up to $3.85. That's nearly $4 just for the privilege of the car stopping at the curb. It's a hidden tax that most people never notice because it's bundled into the final fare.
So how do we dodge it? Do we just walk?
If you're traveling light, yes. The hack here is geofencing. If you walk just one block off airport property, maybe to the edge of the rental car center or a nearby gas station, that surcharge often vanishes from the app entirely.
That seems like a lot of effort for $4 though, especially with luggage.
Fair enough. Ideally, use the hotel shuttle method. Take a free shuttle to a nearby airport hotel, hop off in the lobby, maybe use their clean restroom, and then order your ride from there. You save the fee, and more importantly, you secure the traffic nightmare of the terminal curb.
Speaking of traffic nightmares, I saw a tip in the research called the arrivals versus departures flip that made me feel like I've been doing it wrong my whole life.
This is pure logistics. Airports are split levels.
Yeah.
Departures on top, arrivals on the bottom. In the morning, everyone is flying out. The departures level is basically a parking lot. It's total gridlock.
But the arrivals level is empty because nobody is landing yet.
Exactly. So don't follow the signs. If you're flying out in the morning, tell your driver to drop you at arrivals. You cruise up to the curb as you re-traffic walk in and take the elevator up one floor to check in. You've just saved 20 minutes of frustration.
And I assume it works in reverse. If you land at night and the pickup line is a zoo, you just go upstairs.
Precisely. Go to where the crowds aren't.
Let's talk about basic sustenance. Water. I refuse to pay $7 for a bottle of water. But I also know the public fountains are well questionable.
The research on airport water fountains is pretty gross. They are high-touch, low-cleaning surfaces. But obviously, you can't bring a full bottle of water through TSA.
Unless you use the frozen liquid loophole.
This is my absolute favorite, technically correct hack. The TSA rule bans liquids over 100 milliliters. It does not ban solids. And ice is a solid.
So if I freeze my water bottle rock hard, I can bring it right through security.
As long as it is frozen solid, yes. If there's a layer of slush or liquid water at the bottom, they can and will confiscate it. But if it's a brick of ice, it passes.
I just love the image of arguing physics with a TSA agent. Sir, this is a solid state of matter.
It definitely works. But practically speaking, it requires serious planning. For most people, just bringing an empty reusable bottle and finding a filtered filling station. Not the spout, but the sensor-activated filler is the easiest way to go.
Now, once we're through security and we've got our water, we usually need to charge our phones. But the sources here have a pretty stark warning about those USB ports built into the waiting area seats.
Yeah, it's called juice jacking.
Yeah.
Sounds like a bad sci-fi movie plot, but it's a real vulnerability. Those public USB ports are data connections, not just power connections.
So someone could tamper with the port itself.
Theoretically, hackers can modify the port so that when you plug your phone in, it installs malware or siphons personal data off your device. It's rare, but the risk profile is extremely high.
Is there a workaround besides carrying a heavy portable battery everywhere?
Use a USB condom. I know that is the actual industry term. It's a little dongle that goes between your cable and the port. It physically blocks the data pins so only power can flow through. Or simpler yet, just find a standard AC wall outlet.
And the sources say those are often hiding in plain sight, right?
Look behind the podiums at the gate. Look on the structural columns. Or, if your gate is completely packed, walk to the next gate over. If gate B4 is a zoo, B5 might be completely empty. Sit there, charge your phone in peace, and walk back when boarding starts.
Okay, let's move to the gate itself. This is where the tension really spikes, and we have to talk about the gate agent. I always thought they were just checking tickets, but this commission secret we found changes everything.
This was a real eye-opener for sure. We found confirmation specifically regarding low-cost carriers like Frontier that gate agents are actively incentivized to catch you. They receive a commission around $10 per bag for every carry-on they force you to check at the gate.
That explains so much of the aggressive behavior we see. When they ask you to put your bag in the sizing bin, it's not just about safety or overhead space. They are literally hunting for a bonus.
It creates a direct financial conflict of interest. And the sizing bin itself is a psychological trap. Think about why you use it. The agent says, just to be sure, please check your bag. You want to be a good passenger. You want to comply.
Right, you don't want to make a scene or hold up the line.
But the moment you put your bag in that metal cage, you have submitted to their judgment. If the wheels stick out by half an inch, you have no defense. You've voluntarily proved your bag is oversized. They can slap you with a $100 gate fee right there.
So the strategy is just don't use the bin.
Don't volunteer. Unless they explicitly order you to do it, do not approach the bin. And this ties perfectly into when you choose to board. If you hang around the gate podium 45 minutes before the flight, you are giving them plenty of time to visually scan your luggage. You're a sitting duck.
So we should arrive late.
Just in time is the better way to phrase it. If you walk up as the final group is boarding, that dynamic completely changes. The agents are now under immense pressure to close the aircraft door to get an on-time departure. They do not have time to argue with you about a handle sticking out. Speed becomes your ally.
That makes total sense. Actually, speaking of boarding strategy, we also found some really interesting notes on seat maps. I used to think if I got a bad seat at check-in, I was just stuck with it.
Not at all. Seat maps are incredibly dynamic. They change constantly leading up to the flight.
So how do we game that?
The trick is to check the seat map exactly 24 hours before the flight and then again right before you board. Better seats, like exit rows or bulkheads, often open up for free at the last minute because frequent flyers get bumped up to first class or people cancel.
So just keep refreshing the app while you're waiting.
Exactly.
Okay, let's step back to the one part of the airport everyone dreads the most, security. The lines. Is there actually a science to picking the fastest line, or is it just pure luck?
There is absolutely a science to it. And it starts with handedness. Research shows that because the vast majority of people are right-handed, they have a subconscious bias to veer right when they face a choice of cues.
So always go left?
Always look to the left line.
Yeah.
Statistically, it will almost always have fewer people. But you also have to profile who is in the line with you. This sounds a bit judgmental, but it's crucial for speed. You want to avoid the strollers and sandals crowd.
You mean families and vacationers?
Right. They might travel once a year. They don't know the liquids rule. They have to unpack the stroller and take off their complicated shoes. You want to get behind the suits.
Yeah.
Business travelers.
People who have a system down.
Exactly. They have TSA pre-check habits, even if they're forced into the regular line. They move like a machine. And speaking of moving like a machine, we really need to discuss the jacket hack.
I thought this was brilliant. It completely solves that panic of fumbling for your driver's license and phone at the conveyor belt.
It's so simple. Before you even get to the bins, put everything, your phone, wallet, passport, keys, loose, change into the pockets of your jacket. When you get to the belt, you just take off the jacket and dump the whole thing in the bin.
Just one motion.
One single motion.
Here.
It goes through the x-ray. You walk through the scanner, grab your jacket off the belt, and keep walking. You aren't that person trying to scoop dimes off the bottom of a plastic gray bin while everyone behind you glares.
I am definitely doing that from now on. But we have to touch on the dark side of luggage for a second. We saw a demonstration of the pen trick in the research, and it honestly freaked me out.
Yeah, it's a sobering visual.
Yeah.
Most people think a lock zipper is completely secure. But a standard coil zipper, the kind on 90% of suitcases, has a fatal flaw.
Walk us through it. What actually happens?
A thief can take a standard ballpoint pen and jam it hard into the zipper teeth anywhere along the track. The teeth just pop open. The lock is still totally intact at the top, but the bag itself is wide open.
So they rifle through, steal your iPad, steal your watch.
And here is the kicker. They can then take the zipper pull, which is still locked together, and run it back and forth over the opening. It heals the zipper. It completely reseals the teeth.
That is terrifying. So you pick up your bag at the carousel, the lock is still on, it looks completely fine, but your stuff is gone.
And you wouldn't even know until you get to your hotel room and unpack.
Is there any way to prevent this?
The only 100% fix is using hard-shell luggage with physical latches, not zippers. But if you do have a zipper bag, you can use a zip tie or a specific cable lock to secure the zipper pulls to a fixed handle on the bag. If the pulls can't be dragged along the track to reseal it.
That is a pro tip. And if your bag does get stolen or just lost by the airline, where does it go? We found out it doesn't just vanish into a black hole.
No, it goes to Scottsboro, Alabama.
Which sounds like the start of a true crime podcast.
It really does. It's the home of the Unclaimed Baggage Center. It's the only store in America that has a contract to buy lost airline luggage. After the airline spends about 90 days trying to find the owner, they eventually pay out a claim, and then they sell the bag site unseen to this massive store.
And they just sell the contents to the public.
They dry clean the clothes. They meticulously wipe the data off the laptops and phones and sell it all. You can go there right now and buy someone's lost noise-canceling headphones or even their wedding dress.
That is fascinating and slightly morbid. You're basically shopping through the ghosts of vacations past.
Well, speaking of ghosts, let's talk about ghost flights. This was a section in the airline financial reports that really highlights the absurdity of the business model.
Yeah, this isn't about supernatural planes. This is about real estate, right?
It is. It's all about slots. At major global hubs like Heathrow or JFK, the right to take off or land at a specific time is a physical asset worth millions of dollars. Airlines fight literal wars over these slots.
But there's a rule. Use it or lose it.
Correct. If an airline doesn't fly a certain percentage of their scheduled flights, they forfeit that slot to a competitor. So during low-demand periods, airlines will sometimes fly completely empty planes, ghost flights, just to keep the slot active.
That is burning thousands of gallons of jet fuel just to squat on a parking spot.
It's economically rational for them, but it's an environmental disaster. It just shows you that the airline isn't really in the business of flying people. They are in the business of holding territory.
There's a whole secret language to this industry, too. We found a few codes that the crew uses to keep us in the dark. The one that stuck with me the most was Jim Wilson.
Jim Wilson.
Yeah.
It sounds like a totally generic passenger name. The flight attendant will ask, is Jim Wilson on board?
But it's not a passenger.
No. It's the cargo code for a corpse. If they are transporting human remains and the cargo hold a coffin, the flight manifest will list Jim Wilson.
Why the code, though? Why not just communicate it normally?
Because the entire airline experience is carefully curated to reduce panic. Imagine you're looking out the terminal window and you see a coffin being loaded onto your plane. It reminds you of mortality right before you get strapped into a metal tube flying at 30,000 feet. They use codes like Jim Wilson or Operation Sunrise for serious situations to keep the illusion of a carefree journey intact.
It's all theater. Even the pilot sleeping mid-flight is something they try to heavily downplay to the passengers.
But that's actually a good thing. It's called controlled rest. On long-haul flights, pilots take turns sleeping in hidden crew bunks or sometimes even right in the cockpit seat while the co-pilot flies the plane. You definitely want a well-rested pilot landing the aircraft, not someone who's been awake staring at instruments for 14 hours.
Okay, we've covered the scary stuff and the hidden fees. Let's pivot to the positive. How do we actually enjoy this experience? How do we become the well-informed traveler?
First thing, stop sitting at the crowded gate. Get yourself into a lounge.
But lounges always feel so exclusive. I always assume I'm just not fancy enough to get past the desk.
That's the old model. Today, lounges are a volume game. If you have a mid-tier travel credit card like a Chase Sapphire or an Amex Platinum, you likely already have access. Yeah. But even if you don't, you can very often just buy a day pass for $30 to $50.
Which, let's be honest, if you buy a dry sandwich, a bag of chips, and a glass of wine at the terminal bar, you're hitting $45 anyway.
Exactly. The lounge has free food, free drinks, vastly better Wi-Fi, and crucially quiet. Financially, it's a wash, but psychologically, it is a huge upgrade.
Here's a hack from the forums I had never heard before. The lost and found borrowing trick.
Oh, this is a great community hack. Let's say you get to the airport and realize you left your phone charger on your kitchen counter. Don't go to the electronics kiosk and buy a cheap cable for $35. Go straight to the airport lost and found office.
And just ask for one.
They have boxes of them. Literally thousands of unclaimed chargers. If you walk up and ask politely, hey, I forgot my charger. Do you happen to have any spare lightning cables? They'll almost always let you borrow one, or sometimes they just give it to you. They're destined for the trash or the bulk sale anyway.
That is brilliant. What about the booking process? We always hear these rumors about the best time to buy tickets. Is that still a real thing?
It is, but you have to understand how the algorithm works. The industry consensus is still Tuesday afternoons.
Why Tuesday specifically? Is that when they update the website?
It's when the automated price matching settles. Usually, airline pricing executives release new sales or drop fare structures late Monday night. By Tuesday morning, the competitors' algorithms see those new prices and automatically match them. So by Tuesday afternoon, the weekly price war has stabilized at its lowest point.
And what if I book it and then the price drops again the next day?
You use a 24-hour rule. This is a federally mandated regulation in the U.S. that airlines legally have to follow, but they bury it in the fine print. You can cancel almost any flight for a full cash refund within 24 hours of booking, as long as the flight is at least 7 days away.
So the strategy is book the fare to lock it in, then keep looking for better deals for 24 hours.
Exactly. It's a completely risk-free window. It turns you from a passive buyer into an active shopper.
I think that really sums up this entire deep dive. The airport is a game.
It is. It's a massive game of information asymmetry. The airport and the airlines have all the data. They know exactly how the carpet affects your brain. They know the commission rates. They know the slot rules. They rely on you being stressed, tired, and passive.
But if you know the house rules, if you know about the left line, the jacket hack, the frozen water, you stop being a victim of the design.
You become an insider. You move through the space differently. You aren't frustrated by the wait and lounge sign because you know exactly why it's there. You aren't tricked into using the sizing bin.
Before we let everyone go, there's one last warning we need to issue based on the source material. It's about the boarding pass itself.
Please listen to this one. We see it all the time on social media. People take a picture of their paper boarding pass to post on Instagram off to Bali, or they just crumble it up and throw it in the trash can at the hotel lobby.
It seems harmless enough. It's just a piece of paper with your seat number.
It is a massive data mine. That barcode printed on it isn't just a squiggly line for the gate scanner. If you scan it with a free barcode reader app, it reveals your full legal name, your frequent flyer number, and in some cases it can be used to reset your account password or access your entire future travel itinerary.
So if I post that photo, a hacker could theoretically log in and cancel my return flight.
Absolutely they could. Never post it online. And don't just toss it in a public bin where anyone can grab it, shred it, or just keep it in your pocket until you get home. It is effectively your digital identity for that trip.
That is a very sobering thought to end on. But knowledge is power, right? Next time you are at the airport, look at the floor. Feel the resistance of the carpet. Watch the crowds mindlessly turning right, and then you go left.
And if you see a sizing bin sitting there, just walk right past it.
Thanks for joining us on this deep dive into the airport casino. We'll see you next time.
Safe travels, everyone.